Hello and welcome to Inside Sports. I'm Wes Decker. It's great to have you along as we make our transition between seasons. The fall is over and the winter sports season is just ahead, and we embark on that today. We've got previews ahead for Washington County North Stars hockey, wrestling, and indoor track and field is where we begin, and we start with the girls and Herald Mail assistant sports editor Dan Koppen. Welcome to the show, Dan.
Thank you for having me back.
Oh, well, it's not always my choice, these people that I have on, but with you, you're one of my favorites. Let's begin with girls indoor track and field before we digress any further. And last year, another sensational season for the Boonesboro girls, and the forecast ahead looks pretty bright.
Yeah, the train's not going to stop anytime soon. I mean, between the girls team and the boys team, they have more than 120 athletes in the program this year, which is just a staggering number. And we said it before, I'm sure we'll say it again. It speaks to how Becky Walter can bring these athletes out. They want to run for her, and the program's just seems unstoppable at this point.
And last year, I think they got a little from some athletes that perhaps they didn't even know they would get before the season was over. I mean, Cameron Harper, a state champion, and Bethany Lohman just improved leaps and bounds as the season went along in the pole vault.
Absolutely. And they're going to be that way this year, too, I'm sure. I mean, we've got names jotted down. You mentioned Cameron Harper. You mentioned Bethany Lohman. They've got so many other key returners, Molly Jones in middle distance, Emma Lang in sprints and high jump, Bethany Wallace in the sprints and hurdles. And, that's just the tip of the iceberg. We're going to see other athletes, top 3 or 4 in the county, top 5 in the state, because they've got so many that the question, and one of the more exciting things to watch with them, is who's next to emerge, and it's always somebody. They've got to replace all those points by Haley Wright, but they're going to have many, many, many people do that.
Yeah, and I think one girl that I'm looking forward to seeing this year is Ainsley Plumador, who is a sophomore. Watching her play soccer, so much faster seemingly than everybody else out there. I can't wait to see her on the track.
And she's one of the names that for this preview I cut off my list because I was just running too many, but she, absolutely she could be in here. Her and, a half dozen other runners, field event people could easily crack this list that I just mentioned. They're so talented. Yeah. They've got people in every event. They're by far the deepest team in the county and certainly favorites to win the county title again, if not the state title.
And the Smithsburg Leopards likely will be there nipping at the heels as best they can, led by Lauren Daniels.
Yeah, who would talk about a superstar athlete. I mean, you watch her on the volleyball court and her athleticism just jumps off the page at you, her ability to get off the floor. And, of course, she's already a state champion sprinter, one of the best 300 runners in the state. Obviously a star 400 runner outdoors, so she's going to do big things. Mallory Moholt, a senior, she's been doing it in the distance events for her whole career. She's going to give them big points. And Erica Lindsay and Michaela Jerwick are 2 other distance girls, cross-country standouts that are also going to produce points for them. So, Smithsburg feels like with what they have, they can compete with anybody. Maybe not the same depth as Boonesboro, but as far as quality athletes, they certainly have them.
And one of the things that I'm looking forward to this year, once we get to the county meet, I think, anytime you have North and South head-to-head, Rynacia Jenkins and Jordan Morris, South versus North. Sure. Last year, Jordan was disqualified in the 55 for a false start. Right. So all of a sudden, that is in the 55 hurdles, Jenkins wins it. This year, I want to see those 2 duke it out.
Yeah, that's really, that one false start and you're out rule is a tough one. I mean, I understand why they do it, but that's a tough rule. And I can't see that happening to Jordan again. So you're going to get those showdowns. And, North has another star athlete in Michaela Fleetwood, who's pretty darn good in the middle distance events as well. So, the cupboard isn't bare for either of those teams. And you're right, some of those showdowns between them are going to be fantastic to watch.
Yeah, and I look forward to seeing Fleetwood this year, too. As a senior, seems like she's been building towards something. Perhaps this is the year she kind of breaks out.
A lot of competition in those middle distance athletes. We already mentioned Harper, and there's others there too. So it's she's a talent. She's absolutely capable of big things. She's also up against a tough field.
Anybody else that you see who might emerge here, who's kind of on your radar at this point?
Well, with Williamsport, they've got a couple shot putters that can do some big things in Madison Gaines and Michaela Klein as far as the county area. And then they've got a young distance runner, Skylar Dietrich, who, again, maybe not quite there yet as far as when you talk tops in the county, but certainly had a decent year last year. I think you could see her continue to develop. Hancock's got a shot putter in Mercedes X line. I wouldn't be surprised if she does well this year. And Clear Spring has a group of sprinters, Maddie Ammons, Faith Baker, and Alexa Nixon, who all placed top 8 in the 1A West, I believe. So, again, those teams aren't as deep as these others that we've mentioned, but they have a handful of talent that they have high hopes for.
And I think anytime that you're competing within the county, it just pushes you to get better. I mean, there really isn't a better county and a region to sort of improve and push yourself beyond your own limits.
And the exciting thing about the regular season, I mean, obviously there's a lot of excitement when you get to the region and the state meets. The stories kind of write themselves by that point. But during the regular season, to see who's going to emerge, names that you haven't even heard of before, freshmen or sophomores stepping up, these juniors or seniors taking the next step, there's always a half dozen names out there that right now we don't even are aware of.
Right.
And so that's always fun to watch. And we'll see as the season goes on what develops.
Yeah, going to be great to watch it all unfold, and we'll be bringing it all to you right here on Inside Sports. Dan, don't go anywhere. Stay where you are. We've got the boys to cover here as we preview indoor track and field, and we continue with that in just a moment.
Champions are not merely born. They're forged in the crucible that is flag football. With equal parts turf, pigskin, and heart. That's why Buffalo Wild Wings donates to boys and girls clubs across the country, to not only help thousands of kids learn about teamwork on and off the field, but to help them fulfill their destiny, to shred defensive lines, terrorize the secondary, and emerge bonded as true champions.
At Hagerstown Ford, we charge less, period. We're the largest Ford store in the tri-state area. Number one for only one reason. We charge less, period. Hagerstown Ford delivers. We'll bring your new ride to you and do the whole deal sitting at your kitchen table. Easy peasy. Get more for your trade, easy on-the-spot financing, and the lowest prices on the East Coast guaranteed. And if we can't beat their deal, we'll buy that car for you. Hagerstown Ford, we charge less, period.
It's here. It's breathtaking. It's ultra fast. Gigabit Internet. Fiber to your home. Fiber to your business. And Tatum Cable, making Hagerstown a gigabit city.
Welcome back to the show. We continue with our indoor track and field previews now with the boys in the spotlight, and Dan Kaufman's here for that. Dan, let's begin with the Smithsburg Leopards. And last year, of course, Micah Daniel was the runner of the year, the indoor track and field athlete of the year. He's graduated, but Will Merritt still remains at Smithsburg. That looks like a pretty good cornerstone.
Yeah, that looks like a pretty good front runner for Athlete of the Year honors this year. If we're saying, I mean, he's doing things in the 1600 and 3200 that very few, if any, in the county's history have ever done. I mean, I think he's got. If I was setting goals for him, and thankfully I'm not, he could probably set better goals than I can. But I think at some point, either indoor or outdoor, probably outdoor. I think 4:10, 4:15 in the mile is certainly doable. I think sub 9 in the 3200 might be doable. He's just such a great athlete. I mean, I think he could contend in sprint events if that was his specialty. Just an unbelievable athlete, and I think there's more state championships to come in his near future.
And I just don't know that there's anyone who is any more of a competitor than Will Merritt.
Yeah, when he was battling Darren Harmon of South last year, he relished those opportunities and he was aggressive. I mean, from the first lap of those 1600s, he would take control and say, you might beat me, but you're going to have to work awfully hard to do it. So he's very fun to watch.
And even in the relays, I mean, he would take his leg of that relay so seriously to get the team the victory. So, I mean, he's just a great teammate first and foremost.
Yeah.
Boonesboro returns a couple of state champions, although one appears to be a bit in question due to an injury. And Isaiah Elsie, who suffered an injury late in the football season, had a broken bone in one of his legs. He's a high jump champion from a year ago in 1A. on the state level. We'll have to see how that plays out, but they get Jordan Churchy back, who evidently is in good health.
Yeah, and a defending indoor champion in the shot put. And they also have Adam Berleman, a returning senior who's a very good hurdler and sprinter. He's going to be big points for them. And then they've got Bryce Davis, a senior in the pole vault, Aiden McLean, a senior in the sprints. And as we said with the girls team, I mean, they've got dozens and dozens of other athletes to choose from. So, I mean, they'll have people scoring in every event, and I don't know if anybody else in the county is going to do that.
And Boonesboro was third last year at states behind Smithsburg, who was second. And of course, Fairmont Heights was the state champion. Right. But if you go back to the region meet, it sort of underscores what you're talking about. They only had one individual winner there, yet they won the 1A West.
They rack up so many third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh place finishes. I mean, that's basically what's allowed them to win 4 straight county titles too. It's not, Smithsburg has often had more star power, but Boonesboro has so much depth that Smithsburg just can't match those points. Now this year, you know, we'll see. I mean, I'm looking at the capsules that we've got here, and I don't think it's a sure thing that Boonesboro is going to win a county title this year. I think some of these other teams have enough talent to possibly contend. Again, you give Boonesboro the favored status. But yeah, I think this year is going to be an interesting year. I wouldn't write some of these other teams off.
How about Hancock? Now, from the standpoint of contending for a county championship, perhaps not. But when you look at some players in this game who are going to have something to say about it, the Panthers have 3 of them.
Ian Mann, a senior sprinter, he was the county 55 and 300 champion last year, and he won county 100 and 200 titles outdoors. You know, you've got to kind of circle him and say he's your favorite in the sprint events in the early going. Now, there's a lot of other good boy sprinters out there, so you never want to say it's a sure thing. But, you know, certainly he's the guy coming back that's going to have the target on his back. And then they've got Devin McCarty in the hurdles and the pole vault, and Evan Wachter in the shot put. Those are high-level, you know, top-scoring county kids who, you know, I know Coach Mahaffey has high hopes for.
And I think when you look at potential matchups on the track, Ian Mann versus McCoy Dutrow of South Hagerstown in the 55-meter dash.
And others. I mean, Zahir Scott and Dominic Keating in North Hagerstown could be in there. Lincoln Ikubo, or however, I'm sorry, I know I'm going to butcher that name.
Ikubu, it's okay,
yeah,
you're close.
But you know, a football standout. Who knows how he's going to develop as a sprinter? There's a lot of sprinting talent out there, and I think those are some of the more exciting events that are going to happen on the boys' side this year.
And when you go long distances at North Hagerstown, I'm not sure there's a better duo than Brandon Gassaway and Nate Neely.
Yeah, it really came on during cross-country season. A lot of hope there for the Hubs, who haven't necessarily had a great distance crew in recent years. They have some decent history going way back down the line, but yeah, these 2 kids give them reason for a lot of optimism. And I mentioned Scott and Keating in the sprints. This might be North's best indoor team in quite a while overall.
Yeah, we'll certainly find out. Over in the south end of town, mentioned McCoy Dutrow, but also you've got Nate Harrison Moore coming back in the high jump. He improved throughout the course of last year. Look for more improvement this year, too.
And Kathon McDonald, his teammate, is another great high jumper who, you know, that you're talking about 2 kids that could potentially place top 3 in the county. They could sweep the top 2 in the county, heck. And then who knows what they go on to do in 3A, which is pretty tough. But and then you got Timmy Whitmer as a senior distance runner for them as well. So, you know, we're talking about teams that think, you know, hey, maybe we might have a shot at Boonesboro. Well, South has some talent to give a run at it too.
And how high can Justin Walters go in the pole vault this year at Williamsport?
You know, 12'6", 13 foot. That's got to be kind of his goal marks. You know, he certainly had a lot of success. And he's got Kyle O'Neill pushing him in practice as well. Another good pole vaulter for Williamsport. So, yeah, they're kind of the 2 top kids for the Wildcats coming back, and we'll see what they can do.
Looking forward to the season unfolding, and the county championships, one of those that we circle right off the bat, January 20th at HCC. Dan, thanks so much.
Thank you for having me again.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Same to you.
See you back in 2017. When I come back, Andy Mason's here. We'll talk all about wrestling, set you up for the season ahead in just a moment.
When it comes to hearing loss, who will be taking care of you? Audiologist Dr. Karen Hamilton is Hagerstown's hearing doctor, working to improve the quality of life for those with hearing loss. At Audiology Services, Dr. Hamilton focuses on evaluation and diagnosis to provide solutions for treating hearing loss. Using the latest technology, she programs hearing aids to meet your unique needs and ensures they fit properly and comfortably. Audiology Services participates with most insurance companies and will check benefits and file claims on your behalf. Dr. Hamilton and her team also serve the community through Hagerstown Hearing, which focuses on providing crystal clear sound in places such as theaters, churches, offices, and homes. Hagerstown Hearing installs looping systems that allows those with hearing loss to enjoy speech clarity and noise reduction, providing an experience like never before. To learn more about audiology services and Hagerstown Hearing, call 301-790-3300. Audiology Services and Hagerstown Hearing, providing crystal clear sound.
It's here. It's breathtaking. It's ultra fast. Gigabit Internet. Fiber to your home. Fiber to your business. And Tatum Cable, making Hagerstown a gigabit city.
Welcome back to Inside Sports. Our winter previews continue now with wrestling. And joining me for that is Herald Mail Sports editor Andy Mason. Andy, welcome back to the show. We make our transition now to wrestling. And last year, boy, wrestling just absolutely blew up within the county. Tremendous season. But this year, there's not so much back from last year of those guys who were so successful. Some are back, but not overall. Boy,
yeah, well, if you look at last year, it was just the state tournament was unbelievable. 8 Washington County kids made it to the championship finals. You know, that's a record number. 6 of them won titles, and which is just unbelievable. Another record for the county. And we had 6 state champions, 2 state runners-up. Only 2 of those 8 kids are back. Now, they're both the superstars of the sport. Aaron Brooks and Brian Stewart from North. They're just juniors now. They're both 2-time state champs. Aaron Brooks is he's a 4-time national champion. You know, these guys are future, D1 wrestlers, studs, and, you know, they're going to be 3-time state champs in a few months. I don't see any way that's not going to happen.
North Hagerstown 27-3 overall last year, and with what's coming back this year, do you project them to still be the #1 team in the county?
Oh, in the county, yes. They'll be the #1 team in the county. They lost a lot, but they still have more back than anyone else, paced by those 2 superstars. They have 2 other state qualifiers, Hoyt Cheney and Ryan Montez, a bunch of other solid kids. They're going to be they should win their 4th straight Washington County tournament title. I don't see anyone beating them in dual meets. But as far as, North set the bar real high the last few years. They've been top 3 in the state tournament 3 straight years. 2 of those years they went to the state duels, the final match, lost to Damascus. Now, last year they were eliminated by Oakdale in the 4A, 3A North semifinals. Oakdale went on to lose to Damascus in the state final, but Oakdale's going to be really tough again. They're going to have to find a way to get by them.
And last year, Williamsport was the runner-up at the county tournament. The Wildcats have lost a lot, so what do we see with them this season?
Oh, yeah. I mean, last year they had 2 state champs. They had a state runner-up. They had a state 3rd-place finisher. All those guys graduated. They had, I think, 5 county champions. They're all gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be, they still have the numbers. They still have the pedigree. They still have the program. I expect them to be very good still. I don't think they're going to beat North, but they're pretty good. They have Cody Crawford back, who's a state qualifier. Bryce Palomar, who placed at the region tournament. I think he was 6th. He'll be back trying to go to states. They have a stud freshman, Brandon Oyster, a junior league state champion. He's going to be like probably 220 this year. Big guy, but he's really strong. He knows how to wrestle. I expect him to make an immediate impact in their lineup.
And that's a Wildcats team that last year tied the school record with 22 wins, so they raised the bar pretty high as it was. And speaking of raising the bar, at Boonesboro, Coach Sean Smith, who was our Coach of the Year, certainly turned things around there. So does Boonesboro keep heading in the right direction?
Yeah, we'll just talk about what Boonesboro did last year. They went 24-8, single-season school records for wins and winning percentage at 750. They got 8 guys to the region tournament, another program record. And for the first time ever, they went to the 2A, 1A West state duels, or region duels, where they lost to really strong South Carroll team in the semis. But yeah, they returned a strong core guys. They lost some guys. I think they had 28 guys on the roster last year. They're down a little bit this year with 22. But yeah, they're pretty good. They have only 3, Washington County, 14 weight classes, only 3 of the county champs are back for the whole county. And 2 of those obviously are Stuart Brooks from North, and the other one's Jeffrey Henline from Boonesboro. And Boonesboro also has Haven Hunsberry, who was a state qualifier.
Yeah, altogether, I think Boonesboro gets 3 wrestlers back
Yeah,
who
and-
had at least 28 wins last season.
Yeah, and their schedule is pretty similar to last year. I think, I think they could have similar success. It's going to be tough to match.
How about South Hagerstown?
South Hagerstown, the numbers are up. There, I think last year they had 17, 18 wrestlers. This year they had 24. It's going to be tough for them. There are a lot of young guys. I think they just have one senior. They have Derek Hanna, who he had almost, I think, about 20 wins last year. He got to the region tournament. He's pretty good. They have a real good freshman, Nick Kelball, who, like Oyster from Williamsport, was a junior league state champion. He should make an immediate impact. Their big loss, however, Brandon Nagati.
Yeah.
He became the Rebels' first state champion in several decades last year. He was our wrestler, the Harold Mail at least wrestler of the year. He's now wrestling D1 at WVU.
Yeah.
So they're going to miss him a lot.
Yeah,
but he also said, he also let those kids at South know what's possible.
Right. Yeah, there's certainly that motivation out there
Yeah.
now from a reality
Yeah, because
standpoint.
he was a kid who came into his first year at South. He had 0 wins. 0 wins.
Just an incredible story.
Now he's wrestling at
Right.
D1.
And Smithsburg with a young team, numbers are up there too?
Yeah, numbers are up. Last year they were forfeiting like 4 or 5 bouts every single match, and this year it looks like they should be able to cover all their weight classes. They have Shane Havermail back, who was he was a state place winner. He was 5th at states last year. I'm sure he's looking for do a little bit better this year. They were forced to wrestle a bunch of freshmen last year who held their own, got a lot of experience. Those guys are all back as sophomores, and they should be a much improved team.
And on the private school landscape, St. James?
Yeah, St. James. St. James has TJ Culette. He's their lone returning Mid-Atlantic Conference champion from last year. He placed 6th at 152 pounds last year in the state private school tournament, which ended. It was their the Saints' first state place winner in several years. He's back. Tucker Almany's back. Almany's a senior. As a freshman, sophomore, he was a MAC champion. Didn't win it last year, but he's back. He's a great, tough kid. And I think the numbers are down a little bit at St. James. Usually they're able to fill all the weight classes, no problem. This year there are a couple weight classes they're not going to be able to fill, but they have 8 or 9 really good guys back who should be able to overcome those, maybe 12 points they'll be giving up each match.
Well, within the county this year, we may be learning some new names as the season goes along. A lot of sorting out to do. Seems pretty exciting, though, as we venture into it. Andy, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank
See you
you, Wes.
back after the first of the year. When I come back, Coach Jamie Blackwood of the North Stars here to talk hockey in just a moment.
Tony's Pizza in Williamsport has had the same simple philosophy since 1985. Start with simple products. Sauce from the best Italian tomatoes. The best cheese and dough made fresh every day. Then mix those with a great atmosphere, and you'll have the best dining experience you can find. Tony's is known for their pasta dishes, subs, pizzas, and specialty items like their Nutella Dots and the famous Crazy Tony. Simply put, they want to give the best food they can give to their customers. So stop in today to Tony's Pizza in Williamsport.
It's here. It's breathtaking. It's ultra fast. Gigabit Internet. Fiber to your home. Fiber to your business. And Tatum Cable, making Hagerstown a gigabit city.
Welcome back to Inside Sports. We continue with our previews now, and we're on to hockey and the Washington County North Stars on the agenda. And joining me is North Stars head coach Jamie Blackwood. Welcome back to the show, Coach.
Thank you, Wes. Good to be here.
And the season for the North Stars this year, and we've talked about it the last couple of years. Again, a bit of a thin roster, no seniors on the roster at all, but right now the team off to a 3-1 start in the conference, 4-1 overall. So what's behind this great start to the year?
Buy-in and teamwork. So good leadership by the older kids, and the young ones really want to embrace what we're about and where we're going, and they want to get better. So they've really bought into the system, into the level of effort and work it takes to get there.
And when you look at the Monocacy Valley Conference in which you play, you've got Oakdale on top, undefeated right now. Frederick County, who handed you your only loss so far this season, But then come the North Stars, and the margin for error isn't tremendously great, and you wouldn't expect it to be with such a young team. 22 goals scored so far to this point. But as far as the defense has been awfully good. So the key right now, the points of emphasis to the team would be what?
So it is all about what we do in the defensive zone. It's all about what we call back checking and trying to slow down the other team. We know that a lot of teams are far more skilled, far better at putting the puck in the net than we are. But if we interfere with that, we get underneath them, we put body on body, we separate them from the puck, we cause frustration to them, then that gives us an advantage of at least making it a competitive game.
One of the things that I've always loved about the North Stars is that it truly is the county's team. And this year, 7 different high schools represented on this North Stars team. And talk about the fact that there aren't big numbers on the team. Only 11 players were dressed for Monday night's game. And when you get right down to it, as a head coach, there are only so many things you can teach. You can't teach guys to be bigger and stronger, and you can't create experience. So what's your coaching job like this year?
Well, it's like it has been the last couple of years, is we take the weakest or the most unskilled player and we have to develop the skill set from his ability to learn and to understand the game. So this year with the freshman class we had come in, the first thing we found out at some of the early practices was, Coach, I've never been taught this before. I don't understand, I've never been taught systematic play or why things happen, how they happen, and where I'm supposed to be. So, instead of just chasing the puck and throwing it around the ice, they're learning to actually play the game of hockey, and we're getting there. I mean, it's a slow process. It's not going to happen this year. It's not going to be completed by the next year. It's ever evolving. Even for the more upper skilled players, to keep their skills sharp and to push them to do things that they're capable of, but yet aren't too far above what the other ones are, and to keep them in that leadership role and to make the other ones better around them. It's just constant effort and buy-in from everybody.
And what do you sense is the dynamic of this team?
The dynamic is the way they get along, the friendship that they have. I mean, the freshmen know that they're freshmen. The older classmen have told them that, but they get along. The locker room's fun. They get along together. They don't pick on the freshmen. They do things in all-inclusive type things. I know a lot of them are already looking forward to our annual ugly sweater party at Christmas time, and that seems to be the talk of the locker room sometimes, So, things like that. We've instituted a player of the week type system where they have to wear this like grossly ugly old helmet, and they have to sign it after they've worn it. But anytime they enter the rink, they have to wear it for why they own it. And it's kind of become a symbol of pride amongst who has it and wearing it around and things like that. So, just doing little things like that to build that teamsmanship and that gamesmanship between them helps foster a great opportunity for the kids.
And aside to that, and completely on the opposite end, I love the black uniforms with the red and the white trim. I think they're awfully sharp looking. And when you talk about the team too, I mean, to this point, did you ever think that you'd have 8 different players who would have scored a goal so far?
Not really, not at this point of the year. I'm really happy that a couple of the young kids that have been able to find a rebound here or there and put the puck in the net, and that's great for their mental psyche of contributing and things like that, so they're not feeling like they're just out there taking up ice time. They feel like they're actually contributing, or they get a hit, or they get a bump, or they get an assist, things like that. So, and the older kids, make sure that they tell those kids that they're very proud of them and stuff like that. And then obviously, I love to be able to present that first goal game puck to a kid. The first thing that happened when Connor scored last night, Harris pulled the puck out of the net and brought it to the bench. So that kid gets to keep that game puck, and we do a presentation. We'll do that tomorrow night at practice for him.
And what is it like for you to be coaching your son, Harris Blackwood, who's off to a great start to the season?
Sometimes coaching your own child can be a challenge. I've been involved in Harris's development since age 4, so it's not been so much of a difficult problem. Harris understands that when I'm coaching him, whether it be in high school or club, that I'm coaching. It's not dad-son type thing. So, but that being said, sometimes he gets a little more over scrutiny from me, and sometimes the butt chewing comes a little bit faster. But he has great talent and a lot of hockey future in front of him if he continues to work hard. So I'm happy that he's passionate, loves the sport, and that he actually likes having me around. So that's a nice thing to have.
Well, we've enjoyed having you around as head coach of the North Stars for its entire existence. Always great talking to you, and best of luck going forward this season. We'll be keeping an eye on you.
Great. We appreciate it, Wes. Thank you.
Next week on the show, we've got more previews for you. As a matter of fact, they'll all come from the hardwood, boys and girls basketball, and we'll even get a little sense of officiating for the upcoming season from Donnie Souders. All of that next week on the show. Until then, I'll see you on the inside.
Hey, your sisters and your brothers, your haters and your lovers, you gotta get up in the streets.